we're Infinite Angels, and you are watching the Artistic Talent Show.
You can always visit me at www.artistictalentinc.web.com. There you will see various of exhibits and of course portrait art that you can purchase. You can always let me know whenever you want a portrait art, and I can come back to you and tell you the details of it, the amount and the time that it would take. It's all on my website, so just go to my website, visit it, support me, support the things that I'm doing for the young people in the community to build their life, to reach out and find their hidden talent where they can start doing something positive for themselves and for their community. Okay, so I'm going to let y'all get back to the my art exhibit.
Artistic Talents Incorporated, ATI, is a community-focused nonprofit organization dedicated to teaching the arts and facilitating the process for young people to discover and/or enhance their talents through the arts: drawing, painting, watercoloring, pastels, land and seascape, writing, acting, music, and song. We also include a major component of our mission, video filming. This empowers young people to build sound careers from the kind of work they are passionate about. Our goal? To transform the lives of young people through involvement with the performing and visual arts. Young people will also be positioned to pursue the arts as a profession. Let me welcome our guest. Melvin Isaac is the Executive Director of Artistic Talents Incorporated. Melvin has a master's degree from New York Theological Seminar and a bachelor's degree from Marist College. Melvin is a professional artist who has been drawing, sketching, painting, and teaching art for over 20 years. His specialty is in portrait drawing and live sketching. He is also a certified community producer for Brooklyn Community Access Television. Eric Waters is the communications director of ATI. Eric has a master's degree from New York Theological Seminar and bachelor's degrees from Albany University and the College of New Paltz. Eric is a writer and has won 7 Penn Writing Awards in nonfiction, drama, and poetry, as well as 4 honorable mentions in the same categories. Mateen Flores is the event organizer of ATI. Mateen is an aspiring author of Pasta L, a counselor, a motivational speaker, a consultant, and a budding entrepreneur. Mateen holds a bachelor's degree in behavioral science and a master's degree in professional studies from New York Theological Seminar.
Thank you, Tara, for that excellent introduction. My name is Melvin Isaac. I'm the Executive Director of the Artistic Talent, Inc. And I have some distinguished guests that's with me right here. And all we're doing is following the legacy of Bill Weber. Bill Weber, to me, he was the greatest person I ever seen. He was my teacher, my mentor, counselor. He helped me out a lot. And I know he helped you out, too, because Eric, he was pointing out a lot of stuff about Bill. So maybe you want to elaborate on that a little bit about, his legacy.
Well, Bill Weber, the former president of New York Theological Seminary, is a giant in the field of urban ministry. Yes. He looked at the offerings at New York Theological Seminary, and he knew that you had a school that was based right in the city, that it had to speak to the unique needs of people in the city, not just people of faith, but people in the city who were struggling with various things. New York City I'm talking about, which everybody knows is an expensive town. But how can you be true to ministry? And even social service, because ministry doesn't have to have religious connotations. But how can you be true to your sense of ministry and your sense of mission to do what needs to be done to uplift the community? And Bill is one of the giants in urban ministry, and recontextualizing how we should do ministry and even social service in urban areas.
Yes, and how do you feel about Bill, his legacy, and how he motivated you acting?
Well, first of all, let me say, in reference to Bill, may he rest in peace, and I know he will be looked upon as an individual who did a great service to humanity. Bill is an individual who is meek. He's very meek, and he's a powerful individual. he was the president of the New York Theological Seminary, although he walked around as though he wasn't the president of the New York Theological Seminary. Also with Bill, you know, I look at him as a drum major, someone who came up with the concept of helping people through religious organization. It wasn't a matter about labels. It's about, could you get the work done as an individual, as a human individual. And he passed that torch to us to, you know, in order to get this work done. I think whatever we can do in his name, you know, he has equipped us to do that. And I think there's going to be a lot of great things being seen that, you know, we'll be able to apply in society.
Yes, yes, he was. And not only that, his legacy lives on in us. You know, we carry that torch for Bill, and we will do what we're supposed to do in terms of helping out the community. Now, let's back it up just a little bit. From the beginning, it was me and Eric. We first started with another director. We formed this Artistic Talent Organization to empower the young people in the community. And then, you know, we went a little slow for a minute because one of the director, you know, he kind of like eased off. He had to go a different direction. And so, you know, it took us another year or two, I think that's what it was, Eric, about in terms of getting another director, because we was doing this for about 3 years. So it's about a year or two, you know, and then we looked at you. You know, far as a classmate of the New York Theological Seminary. So it's, you know, all of us as alumni, and we are graduate from that, you know, from that excellent school that taught us what we know now. Right. But let me just get something clear. We not the preachers. Right. We not, of course, it's urban development to help out the young people in the community, you know, as human services, and that's part of what. But you do have people that come out of the New York Theological Seminary as preachers. That's not our calling, so we won't be talking about preaching people on this show here. But we are going to be preaching in terms of empower the young people and the community. And as I think Eric was talking about that as well, and the young people that are in the community already is being, I guess, assisted by other organizations. But somewhere along the line, the money is filtering to them, but the young people is not being helped. So maybe you want to elaborate on that just a little bit, Eric.
No, it's just that when you work in the not-for-profit world, there's this belief that funding is limited. And so when there's some funding released, you have various organizations and people who will form organizations, and they'll chase the money, and they might not necessarily be equipped for what that money is being allocated for. And, you know, that's a problem, because if monies are being allocated for a specific task, people and organizations that are best equipped should be the ones to receive that money. And I'm not saying that organizations that are doing good work do not receive that money, but, you know, when you're just chasing the funding and your sense of mission is really not in line with doing what you're supposed to do in terms of, for example, serving young people, you're doing a disservice and money is not being well spent.
Yes, yes, I do believe in that. And also, too, with you, Mateen, in terms of how we are better equipped, that I would say, you know, to help out the young people, because we went through this, we experienced this, we actually been through the neighborhood, and I'm pretty sure you can elaborate on, you know, that situation there that people are going to be asking. So what makes you think your organization is better than the extra organization that would be here? So,
well, I really, you know, and taking a look at society, I mean, you see people as young as 15, 14 years old going to prison. How is it that a 14, 15, 16-year-old are able to get their hands on a gun and do something with their thinking? Who's been putting things in their thinking in order for them to commit crimes in our neighborhood? Yes. Where are the parents at? So these are questions that, you know, have to be put out there, because, you know, I mean, you have the children, they're listening to their parents, but their parents have limited experience. And we're not saying that that's bad, but we're saying that your children need something a little bit more powerful. And because we have lived a certain experience, we're able to reach them. We can sit them down. We can talk to them. We can give them, you know, W.E.B. Du Bois, great man. He made a statement that always stick with me, and he said that the extent to which we will progress for our future depends on the extent we are willing to go in teaching our children how to think. And I think that's something that has to be put out there in reference to our youth today. How do they think? Because if they're thinking that standing on the corner, drinking beer, using drugs all day long and everything else that they're doing out there will be able to bring us to the extent of progress,
yes,
we're mistaken.
Mateen,
Yeah.
I think it's not just that guns are easily accessible in our society. I mean, it shouldn't be that easy to get a gun, but there's also, and I think we have been part of the problem in that why do young people think that going to prison or jail is a rite of passage?
You're right.
And I mean, I don't think that's coming from the larger society. I think that has come from people in the community, where young people look up to people in the community who are doing certain things, and they think, and you just listen to many rappers, and as if going to prison or jail is a rite of passage. It's not a rite of passage. It's not something that you need to go through to be a man or to be down or however you want to say it. So, I mean, outside of the fact that guns should not be so easily accessible, I mean, we're doing with ATI, and we've been doing outside of ATI in the lives that we live, like looking to reach out to young people to let them know that, that's not the way to go. But I know as far back as 1975, when I was a young one, a friend told me he would not mind doing a bit. And I said, are you crazy? Why would you want to go to jail?
Wow.
So it's been this idea that something happens, something transforms you, that it's a rite of passage when you go to prison.
Right.
I mean, it didn't originate 5 years ago or 10 years ago. When I was a teenager, a friend told me, and I thought he was crazy. Why would anybody want to go to jail?
Basically.
Yeah.
And you're right. On that note there, this is going to give a little bit about ATI, that the type of organization that we form, which is a triangle. And Triangle is part of how we can empower the young people in the community. And being I'm an artist, I teach art. That's very therapeutic. And then we have Eric, where he's a writer, and he teaches them how to write, novels, and he already have his published. We're going to be talking about that. And then we also have you, Mateen, that you teach them music.
Yes.
And you also a writer as well. But a lot of people don't know who are we talking about? Who is this legacy? Who is this Bill Weber?
Yeah.
So I guess the easiest way to show them who Bill Weber is to show them a clip of Bill Weber.
At a seminary, but offer them a graduate seminary degree. And they'd heard about New York Theological Seminary as an exciting experimental seminary in New York City that had developed a lot of new programs for African American clergy and inner city churches and so on. So they sent the chaplain down to the seminary to demand that New York Seminary offer a graduate degree program. That's how it got started.
So how did you get involved with it?
I was the president of the seminary and had lots of freedom because I took over a seminary that was about to close. It was running out of money and desperate for a future. And I had the freedom to develop some new programs and lots of leeway to do new things. Got all new trustees and new faculty. So we were flexible. So when they came, figuring they'd have to have a big fight, they even very aggressive. They said, "We're here to demand that you do this." I said, relax, let's talk about it. Before he left, I not only agreed that the seminary would be willing to develop a program, but it worked out in my head and with him a curriculum for the first year. And then I was able to go to the trustees and faculty who were excited about the idea, and that's how we were able to get started and to find the money to do it.
Okay, so now we could see about Bill Weber, what he was talking about, how he empowered the community. So what we want to do right here, we have different gifts and talent that we have ourselves to empower the community. So maybe we just start with being I'm facing you, Mateen.
Yeah.
You can talk about your gifts and talent. I heard you have a book, Pass the L. You got other stuff, so elaborate on that.
Well, basically, the book, Pass the L, is autobiographical. It has certain episodes of my life, certain things that happen, but it's more about the lessons I learned from those episodes that happened in my life. So it's me passing the L to someone else, me passing the L to the youth, me passing the L to parents, to teachers, to counselors, and the L, the lesson, who have read a portion of my book, because the book just came out, but, while writing it, I had people read it, and they said, I felt that you were talking specifically about my problem. about what I went through in my life. And there are people who carry baggages in their life, but they don't know how to deal with those things. So by hearing it from somebody who's been through something, they get to learn that lesson. And so that's what my book is about. It's about passing the lesson, passing the L to someone else. One of the chapters in my book deals with opportunities, how we can't let opportunities in our life pass us by. And, you know, I was a DJ in these two. I'm still a DJ now, you know, but in the earlier part of the 80s, I was a DJ. I was a DJ for the, what was called a Disco 3, but they later on became the Fat Boys. And I had an opportunity to become their DJ and go places with them. But for one, I had recruited myself into the Army. And secondly, you know, I had a child on the way. But I got myself in trouble before I can even, you know, really get into the things with them. And they had just won the citywide rap contest with Mr. Magic.
Wow.
So I had my opportunity there and I missed out. I had another opportunity with the Bad Boys who came out with a #1 hit, Inspector Gadget, with the Inspector Gadget beat behind it. And I missed that opportunity as well. And, you know, I found myself in problems, you know, with the law. Well, one problem with the law, and that one problem is what caused me to do a whole lot of years in prison. But Mark Morales, I remember having that walk and talk with him in Gershwin Park in East New York, Brooklyn. And he said, how would you like to be our DJ? And I said, you know, I would like that. You know, yeah, we've been practicing together. So that was a missed opportunity because I got myself in trouble through wrong thinking. But I do have some things I would like to offer in artistic talents to our youth. Yeah. One is about DJing. Well, one thing about hip hop is to understand the 4 elements of this culture. One is DJing. You know, you got DJs out there who can do tricks and all that, and that comes from playing music every day and, you know, coming up with creative ways in order to play music. So, you know, they have artistic ways in doing these things. So there's an art in DJing. I know some of these things as well. Another element in hip hop is the rappers. You know, that's also part of music. The rappers is what people are saying, how you get people involved. And back in the days, you know, it was, you know, Sugar Hill Gang. Even before the Sugar Hill Gang, a lot of people don't know, but Fatback Band, King Tim III was the first record syncopated with people's, with the rap, with music. Another one is graffiti. Graffiti is also a part of the hip hop culture and also breakdancing. Now, these things still exist. I'm not looking to bring these things back in a big way, you know, but, you know, that's part of the art form. When you look at these things, you see the art. And, you know, these things can be expressed, you know, through artistic talents. They can learn about, you know, where these things came from. Music was also used to address certain matters, especially the civil rights. When you had individuals like Curtis Mayfield, James Brown, who said, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud, and had the people cheering that on. When you had individuals like Marvin Gaye talking about what's going on and talking about, you know, our society and talking about the ecology, you know, it says a lot about what can be done through music. And I think a lot of our youth today, instead of being out on the street corner, they can be behind a studio mixer. Yeah. So, you know, one thing I want to do is make sure that our youth, and I have a passion for that, you know, and I've done many youth forums, many youth workshops. I would like to see that, you know, they find their talent while they're out here. Yes. Because there's a lot of individuals who find their talent behind the prison walls. You know, they find out that, you know, one guy, it amazed me. He found out that he had a talent in sculpting. And he would take a soap and a pen and just sculpt that thing, and you see all the intrinsic, you know, sculpture that he did, and it's like, wow, you can be in the street making money doing this. But he found his creative side in prison. You know, people who know how to draw, people who learn how to write, they learn that behind a prison wall. Why not learn it out here? Why not, you know, find out what you're good at? So, you know, some individuals have found their talents inside there. Mano, for one. Biggie went to prison. He came home. You know, he found out that he had a talent. He went out there. And even Tupac, you know, he came out and he did his thing. So, you know, you have a lot of people who find their talent behind the wall. One thing I'm doing is I started a DJ and sound production service called Flowing Sounds. And with Flowing Sounds, we do work for the neighborhood. So I just want to say, if anybody's interested, I can get you that information. And with that, you know, anybody could be able to get DJ services.
Yeah. One other thing I want to point out too before I go to Eric is that you have a book here. This is one of your books as Past the L.
Yeah, not one, but the only.
You got a lot.
For now.
The only, yeah.
The only book.
Yeah. I mean, this is a real fabulous, you know, really educated, you know, what I see that you're doing. And I'm sure that this will empower, enlighten other young people out there, to educate them to start reading again, start getting into the writing, because that is their power there, you know, to overcome their negative ways, you know, what's out there. So now let's get to Eric, because Eric, he has so much. He's a very talented. I mean, I'll let him tell you all about his talent.
I just want to piggyback a little bit off of some of the things that Mateen said. And, you know, really the tragedy of mass incarceration, and I'm talking about young black men, young men of color in particular, is that, you know, they already have these talents inside of them, and they discover them while they are in prison. And, you know, we can go back and we can even talk about Malcolm X and how he came into his own while he was in prison. And I think that's a tragedy. And when we look at what's happening today, and when we look at what's happened while we were young people, I saw the best and the brightest and the most courageous people of my generation succumb to the streets in various forms, either in early death or long-term in prison. And I think that's one of the things that if we could do anything to make an impact on young people in this world today, is to convey the message that, one, going to prison or jail is not a rite of passage. And it's not a place where you really find yourself. I mean, it's a place that you end up at, and you find something in yourself that was already there. And you don't need to go to prison to find that. And as you guys know, prison does a lot of things. It takes away your sense of identity. And when I became a writer, when I took writing seriously, you know, it became a part of my identity. I write, therefore I am. That's why I existed. It gave me a sense of purpose. And it's one of the things that I do, and writing has many values. You know, writing in and of itself is not therapeutic, but it does have a therapeutic value. Writing can put you in touch with things inside of yourself, things that are deeply hidden inside of yourself, things that need to be brought out. In my book, Black Shadows and Through the White Looking Glass, it's a book about the history of black people in America, the captivity, exploitation, and suffering, but triumph of black people in America. And in writing the book, which took 9 months, Bill Weber told me that that's as close as a man comes to giving birth. You write a book. So I like to say it took me 9 months to write that book. But I was thinking about something W.B. Du Bois said in The Souls of Black Folk. And, you know, one thing in particular, like the gifts that we gave to America, and one is the gift of story and song. And so the book builds on that whole idea of, you know, the various gifts that black people brought to America and that black people have, which are intrinsic to who we are. It's part of who we are. I mean, how we walk. You hear music when we walk. How we talk. You hear music when we talk. And, you know, it's just different but similar for every generation. And I really hate when people say that young people today are different than young people are when we were young. And when my nephew was 15 and I looked at him, I said, that's who I was when I was 15. So I really hate that when we make it seem as if the young people of today are like some different subspecies of young people, that they're not who we were when we were young. And when we talk about wanting to work with young people, I think deep down inside we want to work with ourselves, that young person that we were, that young person who might not have had a mentor, somebody who could talk to them, speak to them, and maybe reach them in places that other people cannot. And I think that's one of our gifts. And when we talk about Bill Weber and one of his legacies, and one of the things that he was really good at, he talked about the various gifts that people had. And you had to find out what your gift was. And that's your gift to the world and to young people if you're working with young people in particular.
Right. And I also noticed that you also have a book as well. Well, several books. The one that I'm looking at right here is Black Shadows.
Black Shadows and Through the White Looking Glass, Remembrance of Things Past and Present. A really long title, my friends have told me. It won an award, the Edwin Mellon Press Award, and it was published in 2000, and I'm looking to release it as a 10th year anniversary edition this year.
Okay.
That's who I was when I was 15. So I really hate that when we make it seem as if the young people of today are like some different subspecies of young people, that they're not who we were when we were young. And when we talk about wanting to work with young people, I think deep down inside we want to work with ourselves, that young person that we were, that young person who might not have had a mentor, somebody who could talk to them, speak to them, and maybe reach them in places that other people cannot. And I think that's one of our gifts. And when we talk about Bill Weber and one of his legacies, and one of the things that he was really good at, he talked about the various gifts that people had. And you had to find out what your gift was. And that's your gift to the world and to young people if you're working with young people in particular.
Right. And I also noticed that you also have a book as well. Well, several books. The one that I'm looking at right here is Black Shadows.
Black Shadows and Through the White Looking Glass, Remembrance of Things Past and Present. A really long title, my friends have told me. It won an award, the Edwin Mellon Press Award, and it was published in 2000, and I'm looking to release it as a 10th year anniversary edition this year.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So now it comes back to my gifts and talent, and what I do is use this art piece and many paintings that I do have. And what it is this painting right here is a king. And I took my face and put it in the outfit of the king. And the reason why I did that, because I believe that all of us men are kings and women are queens. We rulers. And so therefore I look at myself as being a king and a leader. And I put this to always remind myself and others that's out there as a male figure to anyone that you are looked upon as being a king and a ruler, nothing less than that. You're not anything as a servant, you are a ruler. So with this, I empower. This is very therapeutic for me, and it's therapeutic for other people that I teach how to paint, how to draw, how to sketch, how to do your own portrait. And so they have become very therapeutic too, because it helps them relieve a lot of stress, anger, and stress within inside themselves.